Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Simone here, and today I'm going to be filming another book haul. Now, if you remember in my, was it February book haul? Or was it, yeah, February book haul, I said there wouldn't be one of these for a long time. And then I went back to my dad's house and he gave me a load of books. And then I went and saw Charlie and Emily from Novell Novels and Charlie Brooke, and they gave me books. And yes, I spent a lovely day with them right at the end of February, and we had a lovely time. And then we went shopping, and basically myself and my fiance AJ were both there, and AJ said to me while they were there, you can't buy books because we're saving for the wedding. And so the girls each bought me like a couple of books so that I didn't have to buy any books, which was so lovely of them. I love you both so much. But I'm going to show you guys what I got. I'm going to start with the books that I got from my dad's house first, and then go into the books that I either got from Charlie or Emily, or I got when we went shopping. But before I do that, I have two other books to talk about. The first one is one that my mum gave me. Went to see my mum briefly as well while we were there, and she gave me Undead and Uneasy by Mary Janice Davidson, which is, I believe, the 6th book in the Undead series, which you all know I love this series. I think it's great. And my mum has given me all of the books as she's read them. So like I say, this is Undead and Uneasy, which I don't really know anything about what's going to happen in this. I think I've got one book to read before I read this one, but I'm really excited to get to it all the same. And then the other one I wanted to talk about is a book that I got from my recent chocolate and book unboxing video, which I'll link down below. I got You, Me and the Movies by Fiona Collins. Yeah, this is a YA book. You'll see, like I said, if you go and watch that video, that I unboxed as part of the surprise box, which I didn't know what genre I was going to get. And this is a chick lit book about a girl who falls in love with a film lecturer, and then she has like brief references to classic films, and it's to do with amnesia, I think. And I'm really looking forward to reading this. I love books about like far-fetched romances, and yeah, I'm really excited to read another one of these type of books. Then we have a book by Anthony Horowitz. This is Trigger Mortis. This has original material from Ian Fleming in, and it's a James Bond 007 novel. This I don't really know anything about, other than, like I said, it's James Bond. I really like the films of James Bond, and I haven't really watched any in a long time, to be honest. But yeah, my dad had this. He has read it and enjoyed it, so I thought I would give it a shot. He then also gave me Young Sherlock Holmes Firestorm by Andrew Lane. I think this is a series about a, younger version of Sherlock Holmes. I think this is a middle grade novel, I want to say. Yeah, I don't really know. And it's about one of Sherlock Holmes's friends and his father dying, going missing, even not dying. Yeah, I don't really know anything else about this. It sounded interesting, and I thought, my dad likes to give me sort of books that he's read, and then I give it a shot and see what I think. I really like the cover of this because there's a man standing right there, which looks like a nose, which is really cool. And yeah, I'm gonna see how I find this one and give it a shot. We then have Lucifer Falls by Colin Falconer. This is a thriller novel, again, I believe, about a priest found crucified in a North London chapel. And it's about D.I. Charlie George and his squad at Essex Road dealing with the murders. And then I think a police officer goes missing and other stuff happens. So yeah, this is a thriller. You know I love a thriller. This is a new author to me, so I'm going to see how I feel about this one. Then one I'm really excited about, we have Private Princess by James Patterson and Rhys Jones. This is the most recent one in the Private series, which is one of my favourite series of all time. I didn't actually know there was another one out, so this is really cool that my dad had this. Yeah, so it's one I can obviously get to and continue reading the series, because I think this will now be the only book I haven't read from it. Possibly I have one other, but I can't remember. Then we have Who Cares If They Die by Wendy Dranfield. Again, this is a psychological thriller. It starts with the hanging woman in the Maple Valley woods, the woman with no shoes, no car and no name. On paper, it's an obvious case of suicide, but to Officer Dean Matheson, something doesn't add up. Then there are the other deaths that also look like suicides, but are they? The victims are all women living on the fringes of society, addicts and criminals. Who will miss them? Does anyone really care if they die? Dean Matheson is making it his business to care, even if it means he becomes a target. So this sounds really fun. It sounds like something quite different than I've read before, and I find this whole thing really fascinating. And this is an author I definitely want to get to. Yeah, I'm looking forward to picking this one up. Then my dad has a thing at the minute for the author David Baldacci. He's like obsessed with reading his books. So I have The Fix by David Baldacci. It's one of the Amos Decker series. I don't know anything about it. I think it's to do with the FBI. Yeah, Amos Decker is an FBI agent, and it's about like stories to do with that. So this is one of them. They're quite big books. I think this one is, how big are you? Nearly 650 pages, so it's a big book, but I think I've got a few more of them in the bag down here. So yeah, this is definitely an author I want to give a go, because my dad has literally like read all of his books in one go. We then have So Say the Fallen by Stuart Neville. This is a DCI Serena Flanagan story. This one is about Serena Flanagan being asked to sign off the suicide of a severely disabled businessman. Something doesn't feel right, and soon the grieving widow's relationship with a local vicar sounds an alarm. So yeah, I will definitely be interested. I love a detective DCI novel, that kind of sort of thing. So yeah, can't wait for this one. Then we have Good as Dead by Mark Billingham. I feel like I've read Mark Billingham before. This is a Thorne thriller, so this is about police officer. So it follows DI Tom Thorne, and in this particular case, police officer Helen Weeks walks into her local newsagents on her way to work. It's the last place she expects to be met with violence, but she's about to come face to face with a gunman. The hostage taker is desperate to know what happened to his beloved son, who died 2 months before in youth custody. By holding Helen at gunpoint, he will force a reinvestigation into his son's death, and one man knows the case better than any other, DI Tom Thorne. So I guess it's to do with that. And yeah, like I said, this is my type of thing, so I'm really looking forward to this one. Then we have Redemption by David Baldacci. Again, this is another Amos Decker novel. And then The Fallen, again by David Baldacci, again part of the same series. All of them massive. Then I have 2 more James Patterson books. We have Target Alex Cross by James Patterson, which is part of the DI Alex Cross series, which is part of the Dr. Alex Cross series, and that is one of my favourite James Patterson series. And then he's kind of potentially targeted. Yeah, I'm looking for it. Again, this is James Patterson, so it's a go for me, whatever he writes. And then the final book that my dad passed on to me is The Inn by James Patterson and Candice Fox. This, it says, Bill Robinson is starting over. The inn at Gloucester stands alone on the rocky New England shoreline. Its seclusion suits former Boston police detective Bill Robinson, novice owner and innkeeper. As long as the dozen residents pay their rent, Robinson doesn't ask any questions. Yet all too soon, Robinson discovers that leaving the city is no escape from the dangers he left behind. A new crew of deadly criminals move into the small town, bringing drugs and violence to the front door of the inn. Robinson feels the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. His sense of duty compels him to fight off the threat to his town, but he can't do it alone. Before time runs out, the residents of the inn will face a choice: stand together or die alone. This sounds terrifying and perfect for me. This sounds like it might be a standalone, which I'm a fan of, and yeah, I'm looking forward to reading more James Patterson. I've also read one of his books with Candice Fox before, and I enjoyed it, so I feel like that could be a pairing that I can get behind. So next up is a load of books that Charlie and Emily gave me. And when I got there, they both had books to just hand over to me, which was so lovely of them. The first one I got was On Chesil Beach by Ian McEwan. So I read Atonement by Ian McEwan, and I've also read The Children Act, and I really liked both of those books. This one is, I don't really know, it says it's a film now, and I've heard about this one, but I feel like Ian McEwan is an author that I just really am interested in what he has to say. It just says, it's July 1962. Edward and Florence, young innocents married that morning, arrive at a hotel on the Dorset coast. At dinner in their rooms, they struggle to suppress their private fears of the wedding night to come, and unbeknownst to them both, the events of the evening will haunt them for the rest of their lives. This sounds like maybe I should not read this before I get married. Yeah, I'm really interested though, and I think it's meant to be really good, and it's quite a short book too. I know Charlie didn't particularly get on with it, but I feel like Ian McEwan's writing you either love or you hate, so I'm quite excited. Then she also gave me Water for Elephants by Sarah Gruen. I've heard lots about this novel in the past, but I've never picked it up for myself. I think there's a film of this now that's got Reese Witherspoon in it, is that right? I've heard, this is basically, I feel like a classic. I really don't know anything about it, apart from it's about a circus that's got an elephant. That's about as far as I know. So yeah, really intrigued by this one. Then she gave me a book that is a sequel to a book that I haven't actually read, but she wasn't a big fan of this one. This is Find Me by Andre Ackerman. I know the first book of this is Call Me By Your Name, which I feel like is quite a popular book on BookTube and just in general. I haven't got, I think it's a romance between two men, Oliver and Elio, I think. Other than that, I don't know. This is the sequel, like I said. So potentially I might try and get the first one from the library and then read this one. But either way, I have it on my shelf now, which is very exciting. Then a book I'm really excited about is Fingersmith by Sarah Waters. I've read a Sarah Waters book before and enjoyed it, and I have another couple on my shelf. This is set in 1862 in London, and it follows Sue Trinder, who's orphaned at birth, who grows up among petty thieves. And it's about that. I don't know too much else. It's a historical crime fiction, apparently, which sounds like a perfect match for me. I love the cover of this book, and like I said, I've enjoyed Sarah Waters' writing in the past, so I'm excited to read more of her books. This one is nearly 550 pages, so it's quite a chunky book, but yeah, I'm quite looking forward to this one, if I'm honest. Then we have a book that Emily gave me, and that is Elizabeth is Missing by Emma Healy. It's actually really funny. Emily said, oh, this is for you, I want you to read this, and I might try and find it and we can buddy read it. And then Charlie came in with another copy of this book to give to me, and Emily basically had it. And then that was great because we both have a copy of this now, which is cool. This follows a woman who is forgetful. I believe she's an elderly lady. She's 80 years old. I think she's about 80 years old and she's got Alzheimer's or dementia, and but there's also like a mystery going on about her friend that's missing, and nobody believes her because of that. I don't know how I'm going to feel about this, but I feel like it's going to be one of those ones I'm either going to love or hate. It's a really short book, it's not long at all. Yeah, I'm quite excited about this one, if I'm honest. And then the other one is one that I knew Emily was saving for me. She mentioned this in an Instagram post, I think, before. This is Tea by the Nursery Fire, A Children's Nanny at the Turn of the Century by Noel Streatfeild. Noel Streatfeild is an author that I loved when I was younger. She wrote Ballet Shoes, and honestly, it was one of my favourite books as a child. This one, I think this is the true story of Noel Streatfeild's like nanny or nursery maid, and yeah. She's telling her story about Emily Huckwell, who went into domestic service in their household before she was 12. And she looked after 2 generations of children, including Noel Streatfeild. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. I think it's going to be a really fun and interesting read. And it's really short, it's like 210 pages. So yeah, I can't wait for this one. Then back to another one that Charlie got me. This one is Notes on a Nervous Planet by Matt Haig. This is a set of like short things written by Matt Haig. I've read Matt Haig's novel, but I haven't read any of his non-fiction, but I feel like I follow him on Twitter, so I feel like I've kind of got the gist of what he talks about, and I really enjoy that. I've heard brilliant things about this book. I feel like everyone has been told they should read this. It says, what if the way we live was engineered to make us unhappy, and what if there was something we could do about it? So yeah, I am definitely intrigued by this. It's also not a massive book, and I just love this kind of little like pocket-sized book almost. I think it's beautiful and I cannot wait to read this. We then have a book I didn't really know anything about, but it's apparently a kind of I don't really know what it's about, like what type of book it is. It's called Belle by Leslie Pierce, and it says on the back, she witnessed a murder and now her life is in danger. 15-year-old Belle, though raised in a London brothel, is an innocent, but when she witnesses one of the girls being brutally strangled by a client, she is cast into a cruel, heartless world. Snatched from the streets and sold into prostitution, she is made a courtesan in New Orleans. At the mercy of desperate men who crave her beauty and will do anything to keep her, Belle's dreams of home, family and freedom appear futile. Are Belle's courage and spirit strong enough to help her escape? And what will await her at the end of the long, dangerous journey home? Yeah, it sounds like something I would enjoy. I think that Charlie definitely got me right on that. Yeah, I can't wait to pick this up. I really don't like the cover of this book, though, I must say. I always find it weird when they just put like a random face on the cover. But then apparently that's Leslie Pierce's style, because that's all of the pictures in here. But yeah, I haven't read any Leslie Pierce before, but I've heard good things, so hopefully this will be the start of a new favourite author for me. We then have Cranford by Elizabeth Gaskell. I love the cover of this. This is a Penguin English Library copy. This is, so I used to watch the TV show of this. And then I actually originally DNF'd the book of this, but I had a different copy and it was a much bigger book, and I think there was more. I think this is just part of the story. I think this is like the actual Cranford story, but I think the one I had was like other books as well, and I didn't love them. But I'm really looking forward to picking them up again. This follows a kind of 19th century village, and it's a community dominated by women. And I just, yeah, it kind of gives me Jane Austen vibes when I watch the TV show as well. So yeah, I really look forward to picking this up. I've heard good things about Elizabeth Gaskell in general, so this is hopefully one I will really enjoy. This was one that Charlie wasn't really sure if I'd enjoy or not, but I thought I would give it a go and see how I felt like it went. This is How Green Are My Wellies by Anna Shepherd. Small steps and giant leaps to green living with style. This sounds really interesting. It's a non-fiction, I believe, which talks about turning green, living a life that is both fun and sparkly green. Month by month she explores everything from avocado cleansers to guerrilla gardening to worm racing in order to perfect the art of being green. Discover how to slim down your waist and throw a clothes swap party. Go in search of green love and start dreaming of a green Christmas. So I thought I would give it a go. I love a bit of non-fiction anyway, and this just sounds like a little bit of fun, but also something that's quite important. And someone's written the Marion Keys of greener living, and I love Marion Keys, so yeah. On the back, who else would tell you that vegans use condoms made from cocoa powder? Didn't know that at all. That's interesting. Yeah, I think it's got a lot of humour in this as well, which just sounds like a perfect idea. And then another book that sounds completely up my street is The Chosen Ones by Howard Linsky. This is a book about another detective. This follows a woman who has disappeared. It says Eva Dunbar wakes in a large metal box. She has no idea who has taken her. She has no way out. And this has been blurbed by Seal Taylor, dark, clever and engrossing, which just shouts to me because I love Seal Taylor. Yeah, I can't wait to read this. This sounds really interesting. I've not heard anybody talk about this, but I feel like it looks fantastic, and the premise just sounds like something I'm going to really love. And now we are on to the section of books that they bought for me. So the first one is a book that Charlie bought for me. She wanted me to read this, and I actually really am excited to read it. This is The World's Wife by Carol Ann Duffy. Carol Ann Duffy is a famous author, and I really love the fact that I didn't realise at the time when I bought this, we got it from a charity shop or a second-hand bookshop, but there's actually like writing, like someone's written in notes all in it, and I just think it's just extra special when that's the case. I actually saw Carol Ann Duffy do like she did like a reading at a thing I went to when I was in school, and some of the poems in here really remind me of like what I did back then. Yeah, and I just kind of love the fact that it's got notes in it as well, and I really like this cover. So generally this is a collection of poems, and yeah, I'm a big fan of Carol Ann Duffy, so I can't wait to read some of her poems. Then each one of them bought me a Margaret Atwood book, because What Victoria Read is doing a readathon where she does a different book from Margaret Atwood's writings every month. I can't remember which of them picked each one of these, but I got 2 of the copies and they're absolutely stunning. So I have Elias Grace by Margaret Atwood, which is the one I'm probably the most excited to read. It's a big book, but I'm really excited about it. This is about sexuality, criminality, murder, sex. I don't really know too much about the story, but I've just heard really good things about Elias Grace, and I believe is it a movie or a TV show? Yeah, so I am looking forward to this one. I feel like, I don't know where it comes in kind of the time when we'll be reading this, but I feel like it's this year. So yeah, I'm going to save this for then. And I also got Cat's Eye by Margaret Atwood, again in these beautiful editions. And this one, what does this say? Elaine Risley, a painter, returns to Toronto to find herself overwhelmed by her past. Memories of childhood, unbearable betrayals and cruelties surface relentlessly, forcing her to confront the spectre of Cordelia, once her best friend and tormentor, who has haunted her for 40 years. So again, I don't really know too much about this book either, but like I said, I'm a big fan of Victoria, and I really want to join in her readathon, and now I have 2 of the books to be able to do that. And then the final book, I believe, is one that Emily bought for me, and I was really excited to see this in the shop because both of the girls have read this and loved it. This is The Binding by Bridget Collins. I feel like this is a book that kind of got talked about a lot at the end of last year. Again, it's a kind of book about books, I guess. So this follows Emmett Farmer is a binder's apprentice. His job is to handcraft beautiful books, and within each to capture something unique and extraordinary. A memory. If you have something you want to forget or a secret to hide, he can bind it, and you will never have to remember the pain it caused. In a vault under his mentor's workshop, row upon row of books and secrets are meticulously stored and recorded. Then one day Emmett makes an astonishing discovery. One of the volumes has his name on it. This sounds so good. It kind of gives me like Strange the Dreamer vibes in terms of the librarian aspect of it. But it also says someone has blurbed it, Stylist magazine I think has blurbed it. Evokes the atmosphere of Sarah Waters and Philip Pullman, which sounds like a really interesting combination, and I'm quite excited by it. Yeah, that one sounds like fun. So there you are, guys. That is my book haul for March. I hope that you've enjoyed this video. I'm really excited, and thank you again to everybody who keeps watching. I have a lot more subscribers come over at the moment, which is just fantastic. A massive thank you to everybody who has, to Emily and Charlie for buying me books, and also to my mum, my dad, and the Chocolate in a Book crate. Like I said, it's been a great month of books acquired, and now I'm trying to actually read the books and not buy any more, but we'll see how that goes, if I can continue on or not. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I shall see you next time for another video. Bye guys!